was told to deliver this message.
Assalamu alaikum, family. It's your brother, Landon X. And this is somebody that I just found wandering around town. This is Sister Shauna Joy. We back. Revolutionary Relationships. I've been promising you for about 9 years that we would get back to this. I had to beg, plead, and bargain to get her to do it. And we are back. And we got a very important topic to deal with revolutionary relationships. We are dealing with this question right here. Check it out. Reset. How can the black man and woman reset their relationship with one another? We are going to deal with that. We're going to jump on that 100%. So y'all stick with us, and we'll be back after this message. We back, family. It's your brother Landon X. This is Sister Shauna Joy X. And this is Revolutionary Relationships live on YouTube. This is actually the first time we did Revolutionary Relationships live on YouTube. So we are here. We promised you and promised and promised. And now we're here. And like I said, we are dealing with this topic right here. Question: how can the black man and woman reset their relationship with one another? This is so important, and I'm gonna get into why and you know the reasons for us coming up with this topic as we come back. But let me just start off in the proper fashion as usual. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the most merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who appeared to us in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad. I further bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger, but let me be very clear as the Holy Quran in Surah 16 and 36, when it says that certainly a messenger would be raised for every nation, as clear as the Holy Quran when it says in Surah 44 and 5 that we are ever raising messengers, which means always and forever. And I'm speaking of none other than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad,
That's right.
that great preacher of freedom, justice, and equality, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan puts it. And speaking of him, the fact of the matter is I would know nothing of Master Fard Muhammad. I would know nothing of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad if it were not for our divine teacher, guide, the criterion in our midst. I'm speaking of none other than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in those three great names, I greet you in the words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language to our YouTube family with revolutionary relationships. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
All praises due to Allah, family. So we back with you. Shout out to everybody chiming in. Hit us up with your questions and comments. We will be looking out for you. We even gonna superimpose it on the screen, like right there. Every time you make a decent question. If you say something foolish, we just gonna act like you're not there. But if you say something that makes sense, then we'll jump onto it because this is a cyber cipher. And let me lay down the ground rules of revolutionary relationships for those who have never caught this live, or it's just been a while since certain people been out of the loop. But so let me tell you what this is. With revolutionary relationships, we have a very clear purpose. As you can see, the name is not something just to sound cute. The fact of the matter is, the most revolutionary thing a black man or aboriginal man or woman can do in this world is to love a black man or black woman. That is the most revolutionary act that can be done. Not wearing a t-shirt, not wearing a army fatigue, not carrying a gun, not wearing a bow tie, not wearing a headpiece, not wearing a dashiki, not wearing a Black Panther t-shirt, not going to see Black Panther 1, 2, 3, or 4. The most revolutionary thing that we can do as Aboriginal people is to love each other. And it starts with our male-female relationships. Now, what we are focused on revolutionary relationships, I gotta make this very clear, just in case there's any confusion. We focus on the inception of black relationships. That's why we're dealing with this topic of resetting the black relationship. We're not sitting here in front of you. First of all, we are not here to give you relationship advice. Like I said, this is a cyber discussion, a cyber cipher. We're also not sitting in front of you as some kind of perfect example of a relationship. Please don't. You didn't have to laugh that hard, but please don't. Please don't get that twisted. What we have covered. We've been married for 4 years. What we have covered is the actual process of reconnecting with the science of mating, which starts with courtship. We're going to talk a little bit about that toward the end. And we've covered that. And we've made the commitment to go toward revolutionary relationships. It's like when you crack open a book. That doesn't automatically make you the smartest Negro on the earth just because you cracked open Message to the Black Man. However, what will you know if you never cracked open Message to the Black Man, if you never cracked open the Holy Quran, if you never cracked open the Bible and read it correctly? So this is the start, and this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with reconnecting our communities, starting with the family. There is no other way to reconnect our community. So, family, we're going to go ahead and get started. Shout out to everybody chiming in. Make sure y'all hit us up. We will superimpose your questions and your comments. Let's see what we got so far. All praises are due to Allah. Make sure y'all hitting us up. Questions and comments, because we're going to get right into it. But first, before we do that, I'm going to let this queen right here to my right also greet you all. She's also our executive producer, so she's doing double duty while I'm just sitting up here, sitting on my shoulders. But go ahead, dear sister.
Assalamu alaikum. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. He appeared to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praise is forever, forever, ever due. I further bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is the Mahdi. He is the living and exalted Christ and the first begotten of the dead, and that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the Messiah, Son of Man, and Jesus in our midst today. It is in those three great, holy, most righteous, and beautiful names that I greet you all in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu Alaikum. It is such a blessing to be back with the Revolutionary Relationships Nation Town Live family. All praise belongs to Allah. Thank you for everybody who is joining in with us live. Thank you for all of those who will come in after the fact. And yes, like my husband mentioned, this is such a monumental topic because, you know, if we look around all day, every day, if what we see on TV, especially social media, is the destruction, the degradation, just the black man and woman is so separated. We're on two far ends of the earth. And, you know, that's something that definitely needs to be corrected, not just for our own selves individually. I mean, black woman, you are. Who are we without the black man? Black man, who are you without the black woman? But for our nation, the black and aboriginal nation, most importantly for all of humanity. So thank you all. Please, please, like my husband said, we encourage you, drop your comments and questions. This is a cyber cipher. You know, we are no type of experts at all. This is just us striving to, striving to do our part in lifting the teachings that we have been taught and lifting a positive word that will, inshallah, help our community and raise us back up to the gods in which we were and that Allah came to make us. So,
Absolutely. All praises due to Allah. Now, why this topic? Why are we dealing with resetting the black male and female relationship? Because obviously we need a reset, right? It reminds me of my days of playing video games. You know, sometimes when you getting your backside busted on Madden or 2K or whatever it is you playing, sometimes you would just go ahead and be a hole and just hit the reset button. You know, some of y'all, when you going up against the computer and the computer start cheating, you hit the reset button. Well, you know, that's kind of raggedy when you do it in video games, but sometimes in life you got to do that. Sometimes you got to start anew when you know it's gotten to a point where if you keep going in the direction that you're going, you're going to run into that devastation, as my wife put it. So here's why we really jumped on this topic, for a couple of reasons. One, what you've had in the last couple of years in the black community. You've already had a powder keg. You've already had a powder keg of black broken households. For the last 40 years, 70% or more of our households have been single parent households, mostly with the woman by herself. On top of that, you've had the crack epidemic. On top of that, you've had the prison industrial complex. All of this has taken place over the last 40 years, so the complexion of the black family has changed completely from 40, 50 years ago. So now we at each other's neck, and it's 100% by design. The welfare system has changed to where it encourages the woman to be single. It also even mandates her to be single, telling her that she can't even have a man in the house with her. So all of these things, and now all of a sudden, the first couple of generations that were raised in these single parent broken households are now adults. They're now in their 20s, their 30s, even their 40s. And now we're expected to love each other and continue our ethnicity, continue our kind into the future, but we're at each other's necks. But on top of that, it was a powder keg already, but now somebody that lit a match with this that you're watching right here, social media and YouTube. You have what I call panda pimps. These are the kind of individuals who they basically, it's really no different from what took place during the crack epidemic. You had brothers and sisters during the crack era, the height of the crack era in the 80s and 90s, that saw an opportunity to make money, saw an opportunity to make something of themselves, so to speak, even though it was poisonous to the community. And that's what they did with the crack rock. And now you got brothers and sisters who are doing it with the broken black relationship. Many of them offer no solutions. Many of them offer no things that can actually help our community. It's just somebody who's taking one gender and dragging them across, up and down the street. And then, of course, people who have issues in their past, who have issues with the opposite sex, are going to be the cheering section for these panda pimps. And then on the other side of it, you have those who are saying, wait a minute, we're not like that. Men aren't like that. Women aren't like that. And then they're going to watch so they can talk about how much they don't like that person. I call it the Fox News effect. Fox News, listen, man, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, observe the operations of the white man. He is successful. He makes no excuses for his failures. Rupert Murdoch, who owns the Fox Corporation, he's a devilish genius. Because what he did is he created a network full of people who pretend to be, and I do mean pretend to be, these die-hard conservative Republicans, and they say, and everything they say is so one-sided, it's so biased, depending on whether or not the candidate or the president or whoever the politician is a Democrat or Republican. They say these things and they pander to the redneck Republican conservative audience, and then the liberal audience, which they know is not going to like what they say, they're going to tune in just so they can shake their fist and say, ooh, I can't stand Bill O'Reilly. So it's what you have with these panda pimps. So now that's really created an issue where it's really putting salt on a very old wound. It's not creating any real solutions. We just find ourselves at square one, and really this is a hell of a time because there's really a changing of the guard in this world. But we sitting up here scratching and clawing at the one person that we should be trying to get closer to, and that's the opposite sex. There is no other way. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about how we can reverse that, how we can reset that trend and get things back together. Anything you wanted to chime in on this?
No, you're absolutely correct, and I love the way you pointed out the fact is how we have people marketing, the distress within our relationships, but at the same time, all you're doing is just continuing to pit one against another without offering any real solutions. And I have to say that was one of the things that really attracted me to not just the teachings of the Nation of Islam, but like the courtship manual and our processes, the way that we go about, engaging with the opposite sex, is because there were solutions to the problems. We didn't just point out the problems. The problem was not just pointed out. We all know the problems. That's plain as day. But the solutions that were given were like, wow. And then it was like, wow, man, that's, you ever heard something that just sounded so blatantly obvious, but you've never heard anyone say it before? It was just like, wow, this is really amazing. So yes, I appreciate that. We have this type of knowledge, and it's really not that hard to implement. That's but right. It does take discipline, and it does take introspection, self-reflection.
Absolutely. And shout out to Brother Ace, hitting us up from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Wow. All praises due to Allah. Wa alaikum salam, soldier.
Yes.
We see you. All praises due to Allah. So let's get down to it. Now, that was another thing that really inspired me to do this topic as well. I should say us. It's because a sister, just a black female, not in the Nation of Islam, she posted a tweet on Twitter that went viral over all platforms, and I happened to come across it on Facebook, and it echoed the exact same sentiment, and I'm gonna bring it up on the screen. This particular sister said, "Black men and black women, can we start over? I'm tired of us finding reasons not to love each other. Truce, do-over, And as you can see, those are the stats from 2 weeks ago. It's probably even more now. She had 6,557 likes, 542 quote tweets, 2,678 retweets. This was actually from earlier this year. So who knows? It's probably in the millions now. But it made its way to my timeline just on Facebook. So obviously, we're not the only ones on earth. Sometimes we feel like we're the only ones really going for and rooting for revolutionary relationships. The rest of us seems like we're looking for a reason to have issue with each other. We're looking for a reason to have a problem with each other. And it would be interesting if we use that same energy on our real enemies. But let's keep going. Let's look deeper into it as we will. Make sure y'all hit us up with your questions and comments. And please understand that this is Nation Town TV, brought to you by NationTownStore.com. Make sure y'all hit us up and show us some love on there. And also show us some love. $ Nation Town on Cash App. Hit us up, $ Nation Town, even if it's $1, even if it's just $1, whatever. If it's 10 cents, if it's $10,000, go ahead, hit us with that rack. We won't be mad at you. I promise you we won't. I promise you we won't, because here's the thing. A strong percentage of that goes to our Yes Ma'am program, Meal and a Message. The Yes Ma'am program is where we deliver a meal and a message to our community, the kind of meals that we eat, not anything that you won't find on our own plates. We give them the world famous bean pie, the wheat toast, fruits and vegetables, and of course, the legendary bean soup. We're also looking into handing out books such as what I call the Black Man's Bible, Message to the Black Man. So definitely make sure y'all hit us up, show us some love on Cash App, $ Nation Town. And if you haven't already, I don't know what you're going through, what's going on in your life, make sure you subscribe at Nation Town TV here on YouTube. You can also do so on Facebook as well. So we're going to get down into it because it's, the way we do it on Nation Town, whether it's Nation Town TV Live, whether it's Revolutionary Relationships, whatever the case may be, we like to actually come up with solutions and not just problems. In the supreme wisdom lessons of the Nation of Islam, as given to us by W.D. Fard Muhammad, we have something called a problem book. And in that problem book, it also has the answers to those problems. So we have to get in the habit in the Nation of Islam of tackling problems with solutions. So we're going to get into one of the reasons why the state of our relationships, our black relationships, are what they are. Wa alaikum salam to Brother Hakeem. We see you, dear brother. And as my wife said, please make sure you like and share. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so that way you get notified every time we go live here on Nation Town. Make sure you take care of that and get that out there as well. All praises due to Allah. So we're going to get down into it, family. First of all, the issue with us as far as black families is there's a group of lies that have been told to us. Whenever there's a problem, there's usually a lie somewhere nearby. And there's actually several lies that's been told to the black man and the black woman. And it reminds me of the very well-known speech that Brother Malcolm X did, where he said, "Who taught you to hate yourself? Who taught you to hate yourself?" Now, the thing about that is hating yourself is not just looking in the mirror and saying, "Oh, I wish I had lighter skin. Oh, I wish I had a different grade of hair. Oh, I just wish I looked like, a caveman. I wish I looked like something other than my." Hating yourself is also, and is really manifest in how you treat your brother or your sister, especially in terms of relationships. So we're going to deal with that fact. Since every time there's a problem, there's a lie nearby, we're going to go over about 5 lies that have been told to us because it's quite clear based on the condition of our families. Somebody lying. Somebody is telling a lie. And we're going to break down those lies. Let's start with the first lie. Because like I said, we're dealing with the 5 biggest lies told to the modern black woman and man regarding relationships. Make sure y'all hit us up with your questions and comments, family. We see you. We will make sure that we superimpose your questions and comments over the screen. So make sure y'all show us some love. All praises due to Allah. Somebody lying. Let's go to lie number 1. This is a big one right here. You can be pro-black and anti-black man or anti-black woman at the same time. This is one of the lies between the black man and the black woman that we just got to deal with. First of all, let's just say it like our brother Charlie said. Wrong. You just cannot be pro-black and then be anti-woman, brother. Black woman. Sister, I'm sorry. I know the trend. I know what's going on. And I know where it's coming from. But you cannot be pro-black and then not give a damn about a living black man. I know how you feel now about George Floyd, now that he's 6 feet under. I know how you feel about Trayvon Martin and Tamir Rice now that they're 6 feet under. But how did you feel about the Tamir Rices and the Trayvons and the George Floyds when they were still living and breathing? Our brother, I know how you feel about Sandra Bland now that she's 6 feet under, and they still telling us that our sister killed herself when it's obvious that she didn't. But how did you feel about the Sandra Blands of this world before they went under? So with that belief and that idea that we can be pro-black and walk around in dashikis and Black Lives Matter shirt on, but still be against each other is not only false, but let's look at the source of that. Let's keep it real. The organization known as Black Lives Matter, which is ran almost entirely by sisters, not just sisters, but most of them are lesbian sisters. Let's just call a spade a spade. Let's call a spade a spade. Now, I find fault in this, not just in the sisters, but in the brothers. Where you at? Because at the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement, they had brothers like Darren Seals, who was mysteriously murdered, but he was almost by himself. As far as men were concerned, men had their feet kicked up while the sisters was in the mix. So it's not surprising that it's a movement ran mostly by lesbians. And now to the point where the Black Power movement has somehow merged with the LGBTQ movement. In fact, the powers that be want you to believe that they are one and the same. And it goes deeper than that. When Black Lives Matter first introduced their website, they literally took a page from the Final Call newspaper and the Muhammad Speaks of prior to 75, where we have the Muslim program, where the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad pointed out what the Muslims believe and what the Muslims want. Well, Black Lives Matter came up with something where they pointed out what they believe. And check out this one part that they put on there about what they believe. I hope y'all can read that, because it says, and I quote, "We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure." Let's stop right there. We disrupt the Western prescribed. First of all, that's wrong. That's wrong. In fact, I gotta bring up Charlie again. Wrong. It is not a Western. This is older than the Caucasian himself. You mean to tell me you think that the idea of having a father and a mother in the same household was invented by Western society? Come on, we can't get a white man credit for everything. You giving him credit for creation. That's how we all got here. There is no real proof that there was ever anything similar to this ridiculous gender confusion that you see in the world today in old Asia, better known as Africa, which is what the whole world was called at one point, Asia. But they'll have you believe that. So now what you have is this idea that I can hate a black woman. I can call her a B, I can call her a hoe, I can call her all of this. Oh, but I'm still pro-black. I can play with her, I can play with her emotions. I can have one over here, a woman over there, a woman over here. You know, I can have a man also around the corner, but still be pro-black. No, sir. And to our sisters, you think you can hate men, and men ain't this, and men ain't that, and then niggas this, niggas ain't that, niggas ain't that. But justice for George Floyd. Well, George Floyd is one of them niggas that you would have called a nigga right before he got that knee in his neck. So we got to come to terms with that. So no, there is no such thing as being pro-black and being anti-black man or black woman. Sister, you want to touch on that?
Yes, I'm glad you pointed that out. We're taught in the Holy Quran that we both come from the same essence. You cannot have one without the other. Allah, God, in his own self-creation, when he created himself, he pulled out of himself the black woman.
That's right.
So oh Allah, it goes so deep. The knowledge that has been taken from us, we readily, understand that we don't know our own name. We don't know which part of the continent of Africa that we came from. But it goes so much more deeper than that. That knowledge of our true and living God and all that it encompasses, when that was taken from us, my God, it just created such a rift in every other aspect, because we lost the knowledge of God. Now we don't even know ourselves. We don't even know our own black man and our own black woman, that we are one, and that one roots from the originator. So not only when we're hating each other, not only are you really hating yourself, but you're hating the God that you came from as well.
That's right, straight like that. And his is just common sense. We I know common sense ain't common, but we can't leave common sense behind. I don't care what you're going through, what technological advancements are coming on in the world. We got to still stick with common sense. Black folks talk a lot about unity. Oh, we got to come together to do this. We got to come together to open a grocery store. We got to come together to buy land. We got to come together. We talking about, we got to go buy a farm somewhere in the middle of Utah where there ain't nothing but white people. And that way, and then we'll be free and all of this. But wait a minute. You can't even walk into a room full of black men without mean mugging them. And I'm talking to brothers and sisters. You can't walk into a room full of sisters without trading mean mugs. I'm talking to brothers and sisters. But you talking about unity? You talking about a real Wakanda? Come on now. You cannot have unity without the black family. It is literally impossible. Like right now, you looking at my big head. Me and my wife, we are composed of trillions of cells right now. And those cells are just microcosms of the greater being, which is our physical bodies. When those cells break down and those cells fail or they die or they begin to operate in a way that's other than the way they were programmed by God. In fact, if they begin to divide sporadically and not be in the way that God programmed them to, that causes cancer and it causes death. We're in the middle of a pandemic that all starts with germs and cells that the unaided eye can't even see. So our unity, it starts on the same microcosmic level. It starts with black male and female relationships. So stop even talking about unity and liberation and Black Lives Matter. Don't even let that fall off your fat lips like Nas told Jay-Z. Don't even let it come off your fat lips if you turn right around talking about niggas ain't ish. If, brother, you turn right around worshiping Kevin Samuels and saying, oh yeah, we need somebody to tell black women that they ain't worth it. Listen, man, you can cut that out. That's why we call this revolutionary relationships. Because the only way, and the first and foremost way to be a revolutionary is understanding the value. See, when something has a value, you're willing to do things that you wouldn't do for something that does not have value. You'll spend a little bit more money. You'll wait in line a little bit longer. You'll deal with a few more inconveniences when it has value. Some new colorway of the Jordans is about to come out. They've been pimping y'all with that, giving you Jordans that came out 30 years ago and charging you more than what they cost back in the day. And you stand in line for 2 or 3 hours. See? Because you think it has value. It only costs about $8 to make in some ghetto in Taiwan by some 8-year-old Taiwanese girl. But somebody told you it has value, so you willing to go out of your way for it. You wouldn't do that for a pair of Chucks. You wouldn't do that for some shoes from Payless. But you think it has value. What value do you put on relationships? So that's the first step. That's the first lie right there. That you can be pro-black and anti-black man or woman. Go ahead.
And just to camel back off of that value, when we're talking about value, we're not talking about the white man's Western world, since we brought up that Western value, whereas you're a high value man or woman making 6 figures and this, that, or the other. No, that's the value that the white man has placed on us, because he has placed a imaginary wall for us, or imaginary ceiling, where most of us cannot even attain that value. So he gives us our value setting and then places a cap on it, where you hell high water, no matter how much you try to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you just cannot reach that value in his world. No, the value that we're talking about is the value that Allah God placed on us, the value that he sees in us, because he created us of himself, the value that's the potential in us once we get pulled up out of the dirt and the mud and come into the knowledge of self and God and the enemy of God, and we start to discipline ourselves and we start to act right. That's the true value of an individual, not necessarily where you're at financially in life right here and right now, but the potential that you have in you to accomplish a certain goal that is greater than making 6 figures and living in next to a white man and in a good neighborhood. But no, the value in us is what the potential that we have to build up each other, to build up our nation, and ultimately all of humanity. But we're never going to attain the true value of ourselves separately. Like Prophet Muhammad said, marriage is half of your faith. We have to come together to complete our value.
Absolutely. Shout out to everybody chiming in. We see you, Sister Yasiel Joy. Wa alaikum salam. She says, Brother Landon X and Sister Shauna Joy, peace and blessings, all my beautiful brothers and sisters indeed. And then Brother 7 times said 1 time, facts, brother, all praises due to Allah. Thank you, dear brother. Make sure y'all getting this information out as best you can. So we're going to move on to lie number 2. Remember, somebody lying. Somebody done perpetrated a fraud and got us not understanding the value of the black male and female relationships. So let's see what lie number 2 was. Check this out. Lie number 2. The black success lie. We don't need each other. We just need to be successful. This is that, you can also call this the black excellence lie. This is the lie that they telling the black man and especially the black woman that, listen, y'all don't really need each other. Just get the most education that you could get. Go start a business. Just go, smack it, flip it, rubbing down some numbers on the stock market or something, and just, you know what I mean? Just go ahead and make some money for us. For yourself, and then, this is the white man talking, and then you'll have all the freedom, justice, and equality that you can muster. The black success lie. That we don't need each other. We just need to be successful. Charlie, what you think?
Wrong.
Charlie told you. Charlie told you. May Allah be pleased with Brother Charlie Murphy. Listen, like my wife said a minute ago, when it comes to black excellence, relationships are not sold separately. It's not something that you can do one or the other. They come together. Oh, but see, we not just a couple of blowhards. This is Nation Town TV. We're gonna prove what we mean. Let's look at a couple of things with the Black Success Lie. Because with the Black Success Lie, they've been telling us this for, like I said, about 40 years. That all we got to do is just go to college, go get a degree, go get educated. You don't need no man, you don't need no woman. Money over bees is what they telling us through hip hop, which is the enemy too. Don't get it twisted. All you see is black faces, but trust me, their strings are being pulled as the baby. As the baby who's pulling the strings in hip hop. You know, so they telling us, oh, you don't need your woman, you don't need your man. But let's look at some actual facts, because in the Nation of Islam, we deal with actual facts. Remember, the lie is the Black Success Lie. We don't need each other, we just need to be successful. But let's look at success. These are some facts right here. Married couples are wealthier than people in all other family structures. Stop right there. Because I got to bring back Black Lives Matter, the organization, and their What They Believe website, which they took off, by the way. As soon as people started to say, what the hell are y'all talking about? They took it off and completely erased this. So you have to do a Google search to find it now. But trust and believe, this is still their modus operandi. They said, we disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family. For those that don't know, nuclear family just means man, woman, and child. Man, woman, and child. Now, there is such thing as polygamy, where a man might have a few wives and all. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But still, that's man, woman, and children, or man, women, and children. It's still a man taking care of his family with women with children. Do you understand? So let's come back to this. Married couples are wealthier than people in all other family structures. The top 10% people, everybody trying to get the bag. So let's look at this fact about getting the bag. The top 10% of wealth holders are, in great proportion, married. Even among the wealthiest households, married couples hold significantly more wealth than others. Here's a little bit more facts. A couple of more facts for you. Statistics. Compared to being single, married people almost doubled their wealth, increasing it over 93%, said the scholar Zagorski, October 28, 2017. But they telling you, black man, they telling you, black woman, that you don't have to worry about having a man, having a woman, settling down, starting a family. You don't need all that. Just get the bag. You don't need no man. You can do bad all by yourself, but just make sure you keep us with you. This is the white man talking, because he don't want you to leave him behind. When he says you don't need no man, he's talking about your man. And that's what that's what black women are talking about when they say, I don't need no man. They're not talking about their boss at the firm, where they working 11-hour days to make partner. Listen to that word choice, partner. That's what they call it. If you have a firm or a company, you make partner. What is your husband? What is your wife? Partner. So one way or the other, you married to somebody. You either married to the bag, married to doing the white man's bidding, or you married to a woman or married to a man. So one way or the other, you somebody's helpmeet. This is what you think.
That's right. Yes. And let's not, sisters and brothers, my beloveds. Let's not just, well, I can marry, somebody, and I can marry outside of my race. No, because you are then splitting that wealth. That wealth is, how many examples do we need? Sammy Davis Jr. No, not Sammy Davis Jr. Allah.
All of them. All of them that married. All of them that married outside of their race.
But who was I thinking? Oh goodness. But anyway,
All of them. All of them. All of them.
Where did their wealth go once they died? Their wealth went to their white significant other. But let's not even talking about once you're died, once you're dead. When you marry, when we have these interracial relationships, black man, black woman, white woman, black man, look at it. I mean, we all have seen them. Who do they always, whose side of the family, is it always lean to? The group that is the racial group that is most dominant. You don't see the whole them always coming over to the black side of the family. Look at Levon Ball, Lorenzo. What's with the basketball guy player man?
Ball.
Yeah, the Ball family. I ain't never seen his side of the family. He's the only black person, him and his children. But he got his mom, his white wife, her parents. Look at where the wealth goes. It's going to always go to the dominant. And I'm not saying dominant as in, because we know even your own white scholars have and geneticists have borne witness that black is dominant, white is recessive. So not the genetic dominance, but the dominance that is in the world. The white man is running this world. So whomever the dominant race is, that's who that wealth goes to, and that's who that family always leans toward. So no, you can't have it both ways, beloved. We have to keep our wealth within our family with each other by marrying and being with each other.
And another side of this lie that you see over here to our right, this black success lie is, listen, sister, you don't need no man. Listen, brother, you don't need no woman. Just go and get educated. Just go and get educated. Just go get all the degrees, like our brother used to say on that old college dropout, degrees after degrees after degrees. Just go and get, and I'm not knocking post-secondary education. In fact, one thing I got to say about education, regardless of how you acquire it, whether you do like Goodwill Hunting or like Malcolm X did in real life, and he educated himself under the teachers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in prison, or if you go to an actual college or university, education is one of the only things that can never be taken away from you. You can buy a house, it can get repossessed. You can get foreclosed. You buy a car, it can get repossessed. Education is one of the only things that cannot be taken away from you. But this idea that getting that education is more important than your career or family is one of the biggest lies ever told. We just told you how lucrative it statistically is to be married. But this idea that if you go and get educated, that there's a lucrative path behind that is also a myth. Let's look at the facts real quick, shall we? This is from Wall Street Journal. I think Wall Street Journal know what they're talking about when it comes to finances. They say college was supposed to close the wealth gap for black Americans. The opposite happened. I gotta say that again. College was supposed to close the wealth gap for black Americans. This is the title. This is the headline of the article. And then it says black college graduates in their 30s have lost ground over 3 decades, the result of student debt and sluggish income growth. At least that's what they say. I have a different opinion, but let's look further into what they're saying. The median net worth of households with black college graduates in their 30s has plunged over the past 3 decades, that's 30 years, to less than 1/10 the net worth of their white counterparts, according to a Wall Street Journal analysis of Federal Reserve data. So this idea, I'm not saying don't go and get an education, but this idea that it's some type of replacement for building strong families. I got news for you. Y'all know this is Nation Town. Y'all just see me talk so much about Black Wall Street. Do you know that none of the founders, I'm talking about the original families that started Black Wall Street, none of them were college educated? Not one. Some of them were illiterate. Some of them signed the deeds to their homes and their property with an X, not because they were in the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam, as we know it today, did not exist at that time. They signed it with an X because they could not write their own name. So how is it that we had several black towns, not just Tulsa, Oklahoma, upwards of 60, I've even heard a number as high as 200, immediately after slavery, before hardly any of us went to school? I mean, go check out all these black fraternities and sororities. They always tout the year that they started. You always hear 1900 something, 1908, 1907. What's Delta? 1913. So this is something new. Black education is something new. However, black success is not new. So this idea that that's the only path to success, and the idea that it's a path to success, a guaranteed path, we just proved that wrong. So we got to come out of that mentality that that's something that we have to do, and that it takes precedence over loving each other. Anything you want to say?
You know, that education and get a career, like my husband, there's nothing wrong with that for especially for women. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But that has really been pushed on strongly and heavily on the black female as a means to deter us from starting a family and raising children. Because what do we see now? I got to go back to school, you know. And replacing education over the, oh my God, just the greatest thing that you can possibly be. The greatest thing that Allah has made us as a woman is co-creators with Him. So even when we do have children, whether it's planned or a lot of times just happens to happen, now we're looking at our children as a burden, as an accident, as a mistake, because now that child is standing in the place of what the world is holding above. You got to get this education so you can get that bag, so you can get that career, so you can be that partner. And now not only are you looking at the child as a burden, but now you're looking at the man that helped to produce that child as this nigga did to me. You know what I'm saying? So that facade of education, like my husband pointed out, we didn't have the education back then, but we had strong black families, and those sisters and fathers reared up children who were the trailblazers that now we talk about every February. Martin Luther King and Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois, but they weren't putting their families aside so that they can go to school and so that they can become lawyers and say, oh, I just don't think I'm gonna have children, because I just have to get my my life together, my education. No, this is your life, producing life. There is no life without that. And taking the time to produce that life in the structure of a strong black family. So that goes back to that whole feminist white woman's movement. Yeah, y'all needed to get out the house because your man's was beating you, and but we didn't have that. But they drug us along in their little movement like they always do. But yes, we have to be aware of what the real goal of life is. That was one of the first commands: is procreate, reproduce yourself. Not get you a good education, get you a BS degree, that and then produce. No, reproduce.
Absolutely. And shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, CO50055. Says thank you for giving the truth to this topic. All praises due to Allah. Brother Muslim Muhammad, wake us up. Brother Minister Brandon X. It's actually Landon X, but I understand, close enough. Just drop the BR and put on the L, and we good to go. All praises due to Allah. But shout out to Brother Muslim Muhammad. He's definitely one of our regular Nation Town family members. But as my wife was talking, I thought about something. Here we are. This is Olympic season. And do you realize we live in a society right now where if you were interviewing a top-notch female athlete, particularly black female athlete, because she just did something amazing at the Olympics, whether it was basketball or gymnastics, she did a triple back spin flip, one of them Simone Biles moves, with her eyes closed and one arm behind her back. If you were interviewing her and everybody else was asking her about how many points she scored and all of that good stuff, and then you stood up and said, so, Miss Johnson, when do you plan on having children? Do you know that she would become so upset and so offended, and that reporter would probably be banned and maybe even fired by whatever publication that they represent because they asked her, when does she plan on having children? Because it's now disrespectful to insinuate that a black woman start a family, especially over her dunking a basketball or flipping around on a mat. So look at how not only is feminism something created by white women, I personally believe that feminism is created by white men. Because look how they've tricked you with feminism. They've tricked you into thinking that it's more important. Listen to it. Sometimes you just got to say stuff out loud to hear how dumb it is. It's more important and more successful for you to dunk a basketball and flip around on a mat than it is for you to give birth to life and start a strong household. Think on that. It's disrespectful to ask a woman, so, you ever thought about getting married? Then you just see I dropped 40 points and 15 rebounds. What you mean? What you talking about? And that's just how they sound too. But that's where we are right now. And men, we no different. A man to get offended if you come to him, he telling you how much money he make, his new car he just bought and all this. Hey, bro, your baby mama been asking for $40 for the last 4 years. You gonna ever pay her that? Oh, well, this happened and that happened and this. All these things we put at a higher importance than starting a family, and we wonder why our communities are the way they are, and that's why we all trying to move to a good neighborhood and send our children, whatever children we do have, to a good school. And we all know good is a code word for what? Caucasian, straight caveman. So moving along, shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, Sister Yasiel Joy says, yes, facts. We are truly off balance, refraining from uniting as husband and wives. Our future generations must overcome these lies. And Brother Muslim said, teach, all praises due to Allah. Now let's get to the next lie. We dealt with the black success lie. We got 3 more to go. We won't be on much longer, family. We do intend to be on stronger, but not much longer. We do have some other things we got to take care of, but we got to deal with these 5 lies. These 5 lies that have been thrown on us. Let's look at number 3. I like this one. The old school lie. What is the old school lie? The old school lie is that grandpa and grandma stayed together because it's not a lie that they stayed together, but they stayed together because they were both perfect mates and times were so much different. That's what grandma and grandpa had. They were perfect. Grandpa, he was so perfect. He treated grandma perfect for 47 years. Grandma, she always had grandpa's dinner ready on time for 57 years. She never harmed a hair on his head for 57 years. They so cute. See, this is our perspective. Because we looking at a old finished product when we meet grandma and grandpa. By the time we meet grandpa and grandma, this is what they look like. This is what they've been through. And we think, oh, grandpa's so nice. Oh, grandma, she's so nice. You have no idea how many hot grits she done threw on this man. You don't know about all them other families grandpa got on the side that grandma didn't find out about until 20 years into their marriage. It's not perfection, it's perseverance. So to that, the old school lie, grandma and grandpa stayed together because they were both perfect mates and times were different.
Wrong.
Charlie, what you
Wrong.
think? Wrong, wrong. It was not perfection, it was perseverance. Grandma put up with grandpa in his worst days. Grandpa wasn't making that much money, wasn't hardly any of us getting the bag 50 years ago. Grandpa came home, he worked from can't see in the morning to can't see at night. His back was screaming, knees was screaming, his mind was screaming of being a human doormat in this white man's world for 10 hours a day. And he came home, and usually grandma had the dinner cooked, but sometimes he was dealing with 19 children running around the house. We all know how them old school families did it. So she didn't always have the food ready. The house wasn't always perfectly clean. But Pawpaw dealt with it. Pawpaw definitely wasn't always faithful. But Grandma, she persevered. We don't know nothing about perseverance today. We want everything microwave because we watch all this TV, and our TV is telling us that all you got to do is find a, like she said, a high value man who make a certain amount of money, got a certain education, and do it. And as long as y'all put it together, and then y'all got a cute little wedding, it's gonna be happily ever after. Who told you that? Sit down with Grandma and Grandpa and have a real conversation why they still here.
My grandparents got married underneath the shade tree in Mississippi.
Come on, get away from the rest of the family, pull them to a back room and say, Grandma, tell me the truth about Grandpa. Tell me the truth about Grandma and Grandpa. What Grandpa gonna do, he gonna turn around, lift his shirt up, and you gonna think he was a slave, all them waps on his back. There wasn't no slave master, that was Grandma. That was your nice little grandma about this tall off the ground. Yeah, baby, come on in here and eat. She told him the same thing. Come on in here and eat. I got these grits for you. And she gave Grandpa them grits many a day. It wasn't perfection. It was perseverance. What you think, sister?
That really brings to mind to me a story that the Honorable Minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told about him and his wife. And I have to draw on that story oftentimes to put things in perspective for myself, to help to persevere through the difficulties. He said that him and his wife, our beautiful, beloved Mother Khadijah, our First Lady of the Nation of Islam, all praise belongs to Allah for her and her family and their sacrifice. They were sitting at the table of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad with his beloved wife, Mother Clara Muhammad, and she was telling the messenger, Mother Khadijah, the minister's wife, was telling the messenger and Mother Clara, her hardships about how she felt as though it was unfair that the minister on the weekends would go and sit in a hotel. He would leave the family, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday he would go to a hotel and study and fast all weekend. And she didn't like that. She felt though it was unfair, like it was selfish. And I'm paraphrasing. I pray not to be putting any words in anyone's mouth. But she was, saying that she didn't appreciate that, basically. And Mother Clara, bless her heart, and she, kind of snapped at the minister a bit and basically said, "Oh, you don't have to. You shouldn't do that. My husband did that so that you won't have to do it." And the messenger said, "Oh, Clara, leave him alone," because he knew that he had to make that sacrifice. But we look at them, especially us in the Nation of Islam, or anyone, outside of the nation who's familiar with the minister and his wife and their beautiful family. We look at them as the standard. We look at them as we see them here and now. They're great grandparents now, and we look at them as the standard of a perfect, flawless, successful marriage, the actual union. Because when we get married, we're not united, we're striving to become one, but we don't know what they went through. And that story always gives me a bit of perspective of what she had to go through to get to where she is as Mother Khadijah, and where they are as a family, as a unit, as a union, as one today. So that's what that brought to mind to me. You know, we have to be willing to go through the fire to get through to the other side.
Absolutely. And there is one particular difference between grandpa and grandma and their generation as opposed to ours. But it may not be the one that you think. This is what we see today. Like I said earlier, we talk unity. We put on t-shirts about unity. Black lives matter, no justice, no peace, and all that good stuff. But grandma and grandpa, they lived unity. They didn't talk unity. They lived unity. They showed unity. Unity is not easy. Unity is not sitting up and doing something with people that you necessarily like everything about them. Unity is understanding that there's a common cause that's worth perseverance and sacrifice. It ain't just putting on a t-shirt. It ain't just walking with picket signs begging white folks to recognize that your life matters. This is unity. This is unity. That's unity. They don't need it. They don't notice you don't see no t-shirts, you don't see no picket signs. You don't see none of that. So you don't need this if you got this. So that's the clear difference, is that grandma and grandpa, they actually lived unity. They just didn't have a unity t-shirt. All praises due to Allah. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, Brother Hakeem. He says sacrifice and perseverance is what it takes to have true unity. Thank you, Brother Landon and Sister Shauna. And Sister Yasiel says, teach on that, Sister Shauna Joy. All praises are due to Allah. That's real. That is real. Now,
You know,
I'll go ahead.
unity is not uniformity. I believe I heard Brother Minister, Student Minister Nori point this out.
That's right.
Unity is not uniformity. Unity does not mean that my husband has to have the same exact mind as me, and you must agree, and you must do it how I want you to do it. That would be nice. But no. Unity is we have one common goal or multiple goals, and we are going to work in the best manner possible to accomplish those goals, but that manner may be different. You know, somebody might say 5 plus 5 is 10, and somebody else might say 6 plus 4 is 10. You're both correct. We're both getting to the 10. Just because it's we're going about it in a different manner, as long as we accomplish the goal. So we have to get that mindset out of our head as well, that unity is uniformity. It has to be done my way or the highway. No, it has to get done. The goal has to be accomplished, but it may not be accomplished the way that I see fit. You know, we're taught in the Holy Quran, the man is not like the female. And that's what makes it so beautiful, is because, I mean, my husband has a mind, and I be like, he blows me away. How did you see it that way? You know? And don't do that. Don't do that. See that right there? That right there? Y'all saw the face. We are going to go about it in a different manner, and that's what helps us to open up, to expand our mind, when we allow others to be themselves, and we can see things from a different perspectives, but we accomplish that same goal, and it just might not be the same way.
That's right. And you know, if you're still struggling to understand the value and what unity really looks like, let me give you a little example that you may be familiar with. It's kind of like when you go to work and you work for a Caucasian-owned company. You don't necessarily like that job. Most of us who work the job, all of us work the job at some point in our life. Even if we entrepreneurs today, there were times where you went to that job, you didn't really feel like it. You took what that supervisor told you, even though you wanted to pick something up and go upside their head and stomp out the office, but you dealt with it. That's how unity looks. The problem is we waste that unity energy on our enemy. And we don't have anything left when it comes to each other. So let's go to number 4. We're going to be out of here in a minute. Shout out to everybody chiming in. We see you. Brother Hakeem says balanced. Balanced. All praises due to Allah. He said, praises due So let's get down to number 4. The number 4 lie that was told to us. What do y'all think the number 4 lie? Now, the number 4 lie is interesting because it's actually, actually, number 4, number 5 is something that we kind of touched on, but number 4, the blame shame game lie. The blame game lie. The shame game lie. If he or she sees somebody on the internet, I spelled it like that because that's how stupid we sound when we think like this and talk like this. If he or she sees somebody on the internet blaming them or shaming them in their actions, they'll come back begging for forgiveness. This is why you're addicted to the panda pimps. This is why you love these types. Because you think somebody lied to you and told you that the blame or shame game actually works. Somebody told you that if I promote this person enough, and because he always shaming and blaming black women, if I promote this all through Instagram, all through Facebook, my ex is gonna see it, or my future ex is gonna see it. And then they're gonna be so shamed and and feel so bad that they're gonna come back to me, and they're gonna come to me fully submissive and say, "I'm sorry. I saw so and so on YouTube, and he told me that I'm a low value man, or I'm a low value woman. So I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm willing to do whatever you tell me to do, boss." What kind of foolishness is that? I mean, come on, think about this. When was the last time, brothers? Let me talk to the brothers first. When was the last time that any black woman, it ain't got to be a female you're in a relationship with, it could be your mama. When was the last time any black woman came to you? How often does a black woman come to you and say, "You know what? When I was calling you all kind of niggas and raggedy Negroes and all of that, and I threw that stuff at you and I threw them grits at you, you know what? I was tripping. My bad." They hardly apologize. And if they do apologize, it's usually because there was some kind of olive branch laid down. Can you imagine a black woman being shamed into an apology? You a low value woman. Apologize. Okay. What kind of black women are y'all around? Imagine a black man. You can call them all kind of raggedy, no good niggas. You ain't never gonna be. Have you ever thought of a black man to say, "Oh, really? You think all of that about me? You know what? Now that you said that, and that Negro on YouTube said that, you know what? You're right. You're right. I ain't worth a damn. I ain't worth a damn. I'm a nigga indeed. Come on, let's go. Let's do it right this time. I'm sorry." It don't work like that. You're not gonna blame and shame each other into submission. So I know you like these panda pimps who throw up some of the stuff that you wish you could say to your man or woman. That's what it is, brother. You've never really said those things to the woman, to your ex, or to any woman, and you think that he's saying it for you. But notice that some of these panda pimps, you never see them in studio or in the same place at the same time to the people that they talking crazy to. He can tell that woman that she's a low value woman and that she fat and she ugly and she'll never find a man because she's via satellite. She's via FaceTime. She's via Zoom. She can't reach through that Zoom and slap that gray hair out his head. She can't do that. She can't slap them skinny suits off of him. You know, them European shoes with no socks. She can't get hold of them. And he can't get hold of her or him. You know, Derek Jackson sit in his car all day in between cheating on his wife, telling every black woman that she need to leave her man. And that no man should ever be, you should never accept his apology. See, he's sitting in the confines of his comfy little car. See? While his woman sitting at home with a bonnet on, reading scripture. See, listen. So, so it's a lie. That blame and shame game, it just doesn't work, brothers. Has it ever worked? Has one sister come to you and said, you know what, brother, I saw that sister, that brother that you shared on Facebook, and they told me I wasn't worth the damn, and you know what? Man, you right. Let's go out next week. Let's go on. I want to prove that I can be a high value man, a high value. Let's go out. No, it don't never lead to nothing that's worthwhile. It just is more salt on the wound. So the blame shame game just does not work. What you think?
No, well, I 100% agree, and I will actually believe when people post those type of posts, and share those type of posts on social media. It's really a bad look for yourself. You really showing people what your own insecurities are, your own,
That's a fact. That's a
the
fact.
things that you've gone through, and you giving other people an opportunity to judge you. Oh, he didn't score, he's scoring, she's scoring. Like keep that to yourself.
And you're not over it yet.
And you're not over it yet. Exactly. Self improvement, it starts with self. And when we realize that, that's the biggest way. That's that, in my humble opinion, is the best way to reset the black relationship, is to reset yourself. You reflecting all of that negative energy back on somebody else. You need to be looking at yourself and doing some self examination, some self analysis, and then self correction, instead of trying to force someone else to look in the mirror and look at themselves. You need to we need to look in the mirror and look at ourselves. Why did I allow this to happen? What signs, what red flags did I just shield my eyes to and pass over? Why, what's up with me? I personally, saw great reward when I did that, before I got married. And I went into a courtship thinking that, oh, I got this, I'm strong in my Islam, and found out quick, fast, in a hurry. No, you not as rooted as you thought you was. And I had to step back and take 6 months and do some self improvement. And I was blessed because, I mean, when I say literally a lot, it's something else, baby. Literally, after I took that 6 months that I said I was going to give to myself to correct self, and then go back and look into courtship and marriage, right at that time is when I found my husband, and we began to court, and we eventually got married. So we have to take the time for self, and we'll be blessed for that. Even if you aren't as successful as you think you are with overcoming all of your own impediments, Allah God will see you putting forth that effort, and He's going to give you the reward for even trying. But that's hard. It's hard to look at yourself and make those corrections and say, well, I was wrong. I could have did this better. I should have, would have, could have.
That's right. So let's get the verdict. Lie number 4, the blame shame game lie. If she sees somebody on the internet blaming them or shaming them and their actions, they'll come back begging for forgiveness.
Wrong.
What you think, Charlie?
Wrong.
All praise is due to Allah, so it speaks for itself. It's not gonna work, fellas. Sisters, it's not gonna work. I know you liked it as many times as you could. You shared it as many times as you could. But brother sitting up there with his extra medium shirt on, and behind his car, while his wife's sitting at home like, man, he been gone for 4 days. It's not gonna make us submit. And brothers, your favorite panda pimp is not gonna make your woman submit. Why don't you take a few steps toward God? And when she sees God through you,
That part.
sit back and see. I can listen. Let me tell you something. When I take just a couple of tippy toes toward God, I see natural submission in my wife. When I do a moonwalk away from God, Then I got to deal with Shaquita. Then I got to deal with Shanae. Then I got to deal with necks moving and eyes rolling and all of that, because I'm stepping away from the godhood that's really my nature. That's really my nature. Same thing for the sisters. Sister, be a real nurturer. Really give that brother his peace. And watch the God. I don't care who this brother. I don't care if he dropped out of school in the first grade and you know, he eat bullets and spit concrete and don't know nothing but running the streets. But if he run into real peace at home with you, I'm telling you, gonna bring out a side of him that he didn't even know that he had in him. So we're gonna go to number 5. All praises due to Allah. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see Sister Yasiel. She says, true, the black men and black women, they stayed together for decades back in the day. Sadly, there were still many flaws in the family and the unit that ultimately passed on horrible generational curses. That's true. You have to understand, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that there were 3 sciences that were taken from us by design in slavery, particularly during those first 64 years of slavery from 1555 to 1619, but it was ongoing over the 300 plus years of chattel slavery. It was the science of warfare, the science of business, and the science of mating. And when you talk about mating with human beings, it's not talking about just making babies. That's what it's talking about if you're talking about Rottweilers or puppies. But when you talk about mating with human beings, it's talking about knowing how to come together, knowing how to start a family and take care of a family. That was taken from us in slavery. As soon as slavery was over, we started piecing it back together. And notice that that was the time when we were most economically successful. The same window of time in history that we were piecing our families back together was the same window of time where there was Black Wall Streets all throughout America. And then as soon as our families started to fall apart, 60s and the 70s, then look what happened to our families. And then look at us today. Ain't none of us out here, we think we out here getting a bag. You ain't getting a bag, you just getting a bag of hot air. That ain't really a bag. If we don't know how to spend that money right, and if we're not doing it under the construct of a family, you playing yourself. That's real. Generational, first of all, look at the first word in generational wealth. Generations. Where do generations come from? Family. So you've been had, you've been hoodwinked, you've been run amok, you've been led astray if you think that you can have generational wealth and you ain't producing generations. How the hell you gonna do that? How the hell you gonna do that? And speaking of black generations, we kind of touched on this before. We gonna deal with number 5. The number 5 lie that's been told to the black man and the black woman. We kind of touched on it before, but now we gonna really jump into it. Number 5. The something new lie. This is the lie that says I can just date outside my race and everything will be fine. Something new. I called it the something new lie, inspired by a movie that our sister Sanaa Lathan did about a decade ago, actually. And the premise of this movie, this ridiculous premise, is that she's gone through a couple of bad relationships with black men. So now I'm going to a white boy. That's the whole premise of the movie. Something new is what they called it. And I'm going to tell you what's preposterous about that. First of all, white men and black women is nothing new. In fact, black men and white women cohabitating with each other in the hills of North America preceded black men and white women. Because on slave plantations, the slave master had his way with every female slave on that plantation, long before the black man never sniffed up under the dress of a white woman. So it's not something new, but let's go even further than that on that idea. Let me bring that back up. The question is, the lie is, I should say, no, that's number 1. Let's go to number 5. The something new lie. I can just date outside my race and everything will be fine. Come on now. We know better than that. And there's been a propaganda. Every commercial you see, every advertisement you see, and they really coming for the black woman right now. Really coming for the black woman right now. But there's some things that's really wrong with this thinking, other than the obvious, that we really gotta come to terms with. First of all, family, the thing that you don't like, black man, the thing that you don't like about black women, that you think you don't like about black women, as if black women are all just this monolithic thing. All right. As if we all just this monolithic thing. The thing to keep in mind is the problem that you have with your black woman, it was the white man and woman that gave her that problem. And sister, the problems you have with the black man, guess who the source of that problem is? So that's like, you know what? I'm tired of cocaine, so I'm going to move to Colombia. I'm tired of white people here in America, so I'm going to move to Germany. I'm tired of black people. I'm tired of niggas, so I'm going to move to Kenya. That's how that sounds, thinking, you know what? I'm tired of the way these Negroes are treating me and the way these black women are treating me, so I'm going to go and get me a white woman. But here's another thing. We still have to deal with this issue of resetting the black family because guess what? And this is just nature and science. The white man is going out the door. And then scientifically speaking, like my wife said earlier, the black gene is dominant, the white gene is recessive. So when that black and white couple come together, that Oreo couple comes together, what do you think they're going to produce? They're not going to produce a white baby. It's genetically impossible. So eventually, if we keep going down this route, and sisters, y'all keep falling for it, brother, you keep falling for it, okay. Your daughter's going to be a black woman. Your son's going to be a black man. And 40, 50 years from now, they're going to have to come to terms with knowing how to love a black man or black woman. So it ain't no getting away from it. God set it up that way, whether you like it or not. What you think, sister?
I completely agree. And you know, the thing is, this white man knows. Some of them know, like they literally know biblically and scripturally that, and they see the times, and they know that they are out of the door, and that's why they are pushing this agenda on this interracial agenda on the world, because they want to reproduce themselves through the black woman's womb so that they can get in the hereafter somehow. Others know here up in their mind, but their genetics, their body knows, you know, and that's why they're pushing towards the opposite race. They know that we are dominant, and they know that we are going to be here forever, and ever, and they are on their way out the door, and they want to stay here. Everyone's first instinct is survival. But what they don't know, but they should be coming to see, and we can see this plain as day in a lot of these interracial children, is that, you, like my husband said, you're not birthing white children in this world. I mean, you all white folks, y'all the ones who first came up with the rule. If you had one little drop of black blood, you black. You know, it's true. You were correct. That child is black. But these children that are coming forth from these interracial relationships, they're giving y'all hell. We got the J. Coles, the Shine Kings, the what's his name? The one that went up a few years ago. Was it at the BET Award or something? What's his name?
I don't remember.
Okay,
Yeah.
but these interracial children are coming up to give you all hell. You know, so you thinking that your white seed is going to live on in the hereafter? No, that's not gonna happen.
Absolutely.
Happening.
But the jury, I have to point out, the jury is still out on Sean King. I don't know. I done seen some evidence that our brother might just be, you know, Eminem who's darkened his hair and rocking a fade. I'm not sure. The jury's still out on that. But let's deal with let's deal with solutions, because we all know, okay, we do need to reset. We didn't cover the lies. We didn't cover all the lies. So now we got to deal with how can we reset? What are some of the solutions? My wife, it just kind of shows that we got some kind of connection going on here, because she hasn't even seen these solutions. But she said, she mentioned what she felt like was the number one solution, and that also happens to be what I believe is the number one solution. How can we reset? Number one, find God in self, though. Found God in. How do you find God in self? Well, just like my wife said, self improvement is the basis to community development. You have to find the God within you. See, it's something about Godhood that makes people submit, because that's God. But the black woman and the black man, more so than any other people on this in this universe, has a direct connection to God. You just gotta mine it out. Number two, real courtship. Real courtship. Why do we emphasize real courtship? Because first of all, here's what courtship is not. It's not just going together. It's not dating. It ain't sex sampling. Let me lay down with this dude, see what he talking about. Oh, nah, he ain't talking about nothing. After 6 months of your life out the window, you done expose your body to STDs, you done expose your mind. See, a lot of sisters, the reason why the Kevin Samuels and the Derek Jacksons of the world can make a killing is because we just been sampling each other, and we've been leaving behind all this trauma and all this pain. And then they just feed off of that trauma and that pain. But see, courtship, it prevents that if it's done right. And as we've always said on Revolutionary Relationships, which revolves around courtship, if you want a copy of the Nation of Islam's comprehensive guide to courtship, the courtship manual, all you got to do is email us. All you got to do is email us, send us a direct message. Go to Facebook. Go to our Facebook page at Nationtown TV on Facebook and send us a direct message on Facebook with your email address, and we'll go ahead and we will shoot this courtship manual to you for the free 99. Free 99, 100% free. It don't matter if you're not even in the Nation of Islam or if you think you're not a Muslim. It's not for that. When you go into it, you're going to find scholarship from the Bible, scholarship from science, scholarship from even non-black philosophers. So you're going to common sense. Go in there. It's a beautiful thing to go by as far as courtship. That's one of the reasons. Another way, I should say, how we can reset. Stop trusting your timeline. Stop trusting your timeline. Get away from the panda pimps. Also, stop looking at another thing our beloved student minister Nuri Muhammad out of Indianapolis says. Stop looking at everybody's highlights. You're looking at a highlight reel when you on your timeline on IG and on Facebook. Stop trusting it. Facebook is not your friend and IG is not your OG. Don't trust them. Don't trust with everything you see. Don't trust every talking head. Don't trust every panda pimp. Take it, study it, look for the facts in it. If you find facts, extract that, apply it to yourself. Number 4, heal your wounds, people. And listen, you notice how in order to heal wounds, you always have to medicate it and then cover it up.
And that medication might burn.
Yeah, alcohol might burn. That peroxide might burn. But after it stings, cover it up. Stop walking around bleeding on everybody. That's what you're doing on social media. When you women always doing this, these women need to do this. It looks really bad on brothers.
Such a bad look. Yeah,
It look really bad on brothers. I kind of expect it from the sisters, because sisters are more emotional by nature. But brother, when you sitting up there just, oh my God, when you damn near worshiping a man because all he do is sit up on YouTube via FaceTime and drag women through the mud, and that somehow makes you feel better, you just telling the world that the last girl in your life, the last woman in your life broke your heart. That's all you showing. You ain't proving no point. You're not improving yourself. And we all know it's always 3 sides to a story. Her side, your side, and the truth. So let's go to number 5. Number 5 is already up there. If all else fails, If all else fails, you can't do number one. You can't find God in self. You can't do a real courtship because you just got to sample the goods. You can't stop trusting your timeline because you always got to do it for the gram.
Mm-hmm.
You can't heal your wounds because you perfect. Number five, if all else fails, do just like this brother right here. Read the shirt. Keep that same energy with your enemy. Same thing with my sister. Keep that same energy with your enemy. By the way, shameless plug, these hoodies and shirts can be found on nationtownstore.com. But the point is this. If you feel like that black male and female relationships are so irreparable because they did this, they said that, she did this, he did that. Okay, very good. What did your enemy do to you? What is he doing to you? Present tense. Does that keep you out of his restaurants? Does that keep you out of his stores? Does that keep you from sending your children to him to be taught? Does that keep you from wanting to move into his neighborhoods? Does that keep you from even wanting to be in a relationship with him? It doesn't, does it? Okay, well, since you're giving him all this forgiveness, you're giving him this clean slate, you've given him or her all of these asterisks and but this and but that. Well, why don't you give your brother that? Why don't you give your sister that? You might find out that if you just give your brother or your sister the same benefit of the doubt that you give your slave master, you might see a better side of your brother and sister. With that said, dear sister, anything you want to say before we close out?
Beloved, you hit the nail on the head. I just want to touch on two quick points. Like you said, with the keep that same energy. You know, we generalize every single black man and every single black woman, and that is a huge problem with black relationships. We get in one bad relationship with one dude. He, you know, smart dudes. He was just too smart. I can't date dude that's just too smart and educated. And you know, he was a street dude. And now we generalize now every man that you feel is that certain type, or just every man period, is now under the mold of that one individual. Brothers and sisters, we do this. Who's hurt you, who scorned you. So if we gonna generalize everybody, let's keep that same energy. I'm good with this with the white man. Keep that same energy. Everything that every white person I look at. Even if I know you wasn't a modern day slave holder, but I'm looking at you like, ooh, I'm looking down the line. I know you got it in you because your great grandparents. Keep that same energy with your enemy. You want to generalize every black man, every black woman, but like my husband said, the white man and the white woman, this race has been the most despicable race to us. If we gonna generalize all each other for the most recent aggressions that we've had against each other, you not gonna generalize this white man for 400 years? Come on, man. And then
and we come up with the silliest generalizations. We'll blame the calendar, the month that brother or that sister was born. You blaming stars. There's so much pollution and smog in your city, you can't even see the stars, but you going off of your horoscope. Oh, he has Sagittarius. Oh, I can't mess with Sagittarius. Or we take affiliations that they probably didn't even come into until they were in their 20s or 30s. Oh, he's an alpha. Oh, he's a Q. Oh, he's a FOI. Yes. Oh, she's an MGT. Oh, I was married to an MGT once. Really? What kind of MGT was she? She was sitting at home with you when she should have been in class. What kind of FOI were you? Were you in the streets? Were you doing the work? Were you doing the work on yourself? The work is in the streets. It's also within yourself. See, we like to skip that work.
Right.
So we don't take the best parts of these affiliations, but we think the affiliations makes the man or the woman. Go ahead.
And my husband just touched on my second point. The work was in ourselves. Like I said earlier, we have to reset ourselves. But that takes discipline. And you know, we live in such a microwave society. We want everything here and now, right when we want it. And you know, I heard something that just hurt my heart to the core, it still even weighs on me now. When I went home to Chicago, I was talking to, a beautiful sister friend of mine, not a sister in the nation, but a sister, and we were talking about family and marriage and children, and she mentioned how she just feel like she's just gonna get her tubes tied because she doesn't want to have any more children until because she just doesn't have a good man, and she just can't see herself having to find a good man no time soon, and she has focus on traveling and education and going back to school and work, and she doesn't want to do that alone. But like my husband mentioned, we have to go through the proper courtship process, and we will get all of that. But we don't want to discipline ourselves. We'd rather just snip it, cut it, and be done with it, than to say, but let me just, maybe I need to change up how I go about finding a proper man. Maybe I need to give it some time and not think it's gonna something that's gonna happen overnight. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong places. Maybe I don't need to be in the club. Maybe I can do something differently. Maybe change the way I dress, change the way I operate and speak to bring about the type of man that I'm looking for. So it starts with self. We have to reset self, and that's going to take discipline.
All praise due to Allah, but and to that mentality that I hear brothers and sisters, I hear brothers say, "Oh man, I ain't gonna never get married because women don't do this and don't do that and don't do this," and then sisters saying the same thing about men. What I find interesting is that even though marriages have slowed down a little bit amongst black men and black women, even though happiness or just perseverance in our relationship has slowed down last 40, 50 years, babies are still being made. So listen, if we all bad, if men are all bad, women ain't worth a damn, where all these babies coming from? So not only keep that same energy with your enemy, but keep that same energy with your bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that brother out your bed and from between your legs, and keep that sister off of you, brother, if it's that bad. Because there's still a lot of cases at DHS for unpaid child support. There's still a lot of issues going on with children, and that's the worst part of all of this. The children come in and they deal with that pain, and even if a sister says, okay, I'm just going to date, I'm just going to run, I'm going to travel the world like I'm on Girlfriends or something, or I'm living my best life for IG or whatever. Okay, but every man you run into and that you have fun with, they scientifically, physically, and mentally and emotionally are going to leave behind pain and trauma. That was a study that said that when a woman has sex with a man, that man not only leaves his DNA, but he leaves a part of himself in her. And she has to deal with that. So we got to find a better way to do things as we doing it. And ain't no way around it, and ain't no escape. So what we're going to do, again, if y'all want to take a look at the comprehensive courtship manual, all you got to do is send us a direct message. You can hit us up in the comments right here, whether you're watching this live or otherwise. Hit us up in the comments. We try to get it to it as soon as possible. Just hit us with your email address, and we ain't gonna spam you or nothing. We don't do that. It's a lot of people. We've probably given out somewhere upwards of 40 or 50 of these courtship manuals. It is good for anybody. I don't care what your religion is. But we're gonna close out as we like to close out on Nation Town TV with a word from this beautiful man over my shoulder, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. A few comments from him as it pertains to the topic that we're dealing with today, which is of course revolutionary relationships. But with that said, we're gonna leave you as we greeted you in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wow.
All praises due to Allah. And as I said, here's a few words from my beloved, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
When Allah get in you, when Allah gets in you, fear goes out of you.
That's right.
When you fear only Allah, worship only Allah, bow down to nothing but Allah, that's when you start becoming a man and a woman, and you're ready now to accept your responsibility. Nothing comes easy that's valuable in life. And my wife and I suffered, but I didn't even know I was poor. Now you know that's something. When you don't know there's another food but beans, and you don't know you're poor. Sister Clara Muhammad came, this is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's wife, came to our house, and when she saw the way I was living, she cried. I didn't see her crying. I thought we were living pretty good myself. I mean, if she had seen the way I was living a few months before, now she'd have really cried. I found an old frame where I was working. And I was working in the garment district, and I had it reupholstered and made a living room set for my wife. I could not afford nothing new, and she was not going to tell me. I don't sleep in no used bed. Baby, you sleep in this or you sleep nowhere. A man got to be a man, man. That's all there is to it. You can't be no damn. And I'm telling you, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad knew the black man and woman, and he knew how to train us better than any black man that ever lived. And unless we follow his guidance, we'll never be what we're supposed to be. You'll never be a happy woman dogging your man out. He's not a man yet, but he will be. But if you keep on dogging him, you won't have nothing, and you'll end up being a lesbian at home with yourself, with no man by your side, because your damn mouth is what it is. It's a snake pit. Look into Washington. If we are not in unity, we can't force the Justice Department to do right by us. So we're going to have to unite and be willing to pay the price to be free. It's better to be dead than to live like we're living. You don't have any life. Look at your people. Beautiful young black girl in West Virginia. But it's because of us that don't respect our women enough. That a white man could do that to a black woman and expect nothing in return. Go ahead. No people allow their women to be hurt and they don't come back with something. What kind of men have we become? And as long as your woman is a bitch and a whore in your mind, you'll never stand up for her. And if you won't stand up for her and the children that she produces for us, it is better that we be dead. And soon you will be. We got to stand up.
I was told to deliver this message.